Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good evening, everybody, from Cardinale Stadium in Seaside, California. Monterey Bay playing host to Indy 11. It's presented by Pebble Beach Company. Sean St. Jacques, Devin Kerr here with you. Seaside, California is the site for this big West versus East matchup as Monterey Bay continue their push to the postseason in their inaugural season. It's do or die for Indy 11 mathematically tonight. They have to get a result. If they lose, all their chances, I should say, of making it to the postseason in the East end tonight here in California. And Indy 11, Devin, are coming on a really good form of late, coming off a big win last time out against Birmingham Legion. They've been red hot of late.
Sean, not sure you're ready for this one, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is the best team in the USL Championship right now. The problem is it took 24 games to get to this point, right? They've rattled off wins against San Antonio, Louisville, Birmingham Legion, and keying a draw at Keyworth and Detroit City. Most recently, it is the 4-3 win against the Legion. The problem is it's too little, too late. Numerically, yeah, they have a chance to get back in if they maximize all of their points, and somehow, which we don't see it happening, Detroit City and Miami can falter coming down the stretch. But look at the stark difference of what they've been able to do. They had 0 goals in 8 matches of their opening 20. Flat out, not good enough, plain and simple. They're setting themselves up for next season.
When we look at the Western Conference standings, again, it's worth pointing out everyone is still in this thing with a month left in the season. 3 points tonight would be huge for Monterey Bay.
Reminder that even Orange County, our defending champions, who are at the bottom, are only 8 points back. Now, some of that is because there are games in progress right now. But as you go through everything, this Monterey Bay team, they still control their own destiny, and that's the most important thing here. Frank Yallop's team, they have the 3rd best record over the last 18 games in the Western Conference. Think about that. They are trailing only San Antonio and San Diego Loyal, who sit number 1 and 2 respectively in the Western Conference. Some think a title contender, Frank Yallop's boys, right there. The highest number, if everybody max out, they can actually get all the way up to 6. Now, they could push themselves into 5th. I see this team right on the cusp of a playoff berth, but there are so many other teams around them vying for the same position. RGV doing battle. We've seen a rise from Oakland Roots. Can you get it done when it matters most?
We can't wait for it. Both teams need it tonight in Seaside. The kickoff is next.
Somehow staying in on the end line.
Go Union! Let's go Union! Shoots away, Rebel Lore has scored!
It's time for a flash sale. Starting at 12 a.m. tonight, all tickets in sections N1 through N5 are 50% off for just 24 hours. Join us as our push for the playoffs continues on Wednesday, September 21st versus Phoenix Rising FC. Let's pack the house in Cardinale Stadium.
Sean St. Jacques, Devin Kerr here with you. Excited for this one. Monterey Bay out of the Western Conference, playing host to Indy 11, the hottest team right now in the USL Championships. Eastern Conference from Cardinale Stadium in Seaside, California. Let's jump into the starting lineups. We start with Frank Yallop's group, Devin, who look like this.
Ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
That's right.
Why would you change anything for a team that's done so well over the past couple of matches? To me, the most impressive thing is Sam Gleadle. Coming in, that's a left back by trade who's really comfortable. He can sit in the 6. You move him outside onto either flank. You can even get him aggressive moving into the final third. But operating within the 10, can he hold that midfield down with Moby Fair and James Murphy, especially if Maury Donor gets into those overlapping runs, which we sometimes will see. The biggest difference from Indy 11 and Mark Lowry, I'll make it really simple. They're just playing better. They're comfortable within the system. Aguilera looks good in the 10. I like what we get out of Hackshaw. He's more comfortable on the inside. And of course, it never hurts that Solomon Asante is coming off a 3-assist game. Certainly not a poor showing by the Ghanaian.
And again, it's do or die for Indy 11. They need a result tonight or their playoff hopes will be dashed here in the middle of the month of September. Monterey Bay, 3 points for them would do them the world of good in this unprecedented playoff race in the Western Conference. Gerald Flores' whistle gets us underway from Seaside, California. Monterey Bay defending in their dark blues from left to right as Solomon Asante puts in an early shot. Indy 11 not wasting any time to get onto the attack, and we're underway. Ball is floated into the penalty area, takes a deflection on the way through. In the end, Anthony Ziaha comes up with it for Monterey Bay. Frank Yallop's group, 7 victories at home in 14 games this season in Monterey Bay's inaugural campaign. They had that such a long stretch without any home games at the beginning of the season while Cardinale Stadium was being finished up. And they've been very good here at home this season, especially against big opposition. Coming off wins against Orange County and San Diego Loyal here at home. Good pressure from Christian Valesky, who's had a good season to this point for Frank Yallop's group as Tim Trilp gets it away for Indy 11. It's going to be a tough test tonight against an Indy 11 team that came off a 4-3 victory against Birmingham in that wild affair last time out. They've beaten Lou City at home, San Antonio at home. The Birmingham Legion game was at home as well. We'll see now if they can take that show on the road here in Seaside. Pino. Use it short for Raul Aguilera. And it's reset by Naviel Hackshaw. Indy have been the giant killers of late. Doesn't matter what the conference is of late. Obviously doesn't mean that playoffs will be in their future. They have a lot that has to happen for them, including a result going their way tonight. Ball is threaded through nicely. Aguilera laying it out wide for Jared Timmer. Aguilera again all over the place so far in that midfield. Ball is floated into the penalty area. Ziaha makes the catch for Monterey Bay. Pressure from Sam Gleadle, who's been in red-hot form for Monterey Bay. Frank Yallop told us earlier this week, seems like every time he steps on the pitch, he scores for us. Dealing with some injuries this season, but of late, he's been a match winner in the last 2 for Monterey Bay. Had a brace here against Landon Donovan's Loyal a few games ago. Of course, Monterey Bay had that game against Las Vegas postponed for later on this month. All the way back to Vasquez. Indy 11 on the front foot in these opening minutes. Ball is played back, the header by Donor. Falls for a chance. It was shot in by Ingram, blocked on the edge of the penalty area. Indy 11 can reset. Vasquez again, tried to thread it through, was nearly touched on for Aguilera. And Monterey Bay can take a little bit of a deep breath as it's been an all-out attack so far from Mark Lowry's group. Be keeping an eye on plenty of scores from around both conferences this evening, especially the West, with so much at stake. Every team's games matter down the stretch of the season.
I've told you my favorite comment on the season still is the West is a mess. It is though, right? I mean,
yeah.
You come into the night, I mean, as we're talking right now, things have changed, but it's 8 points separating RGV, who are currently above the playoff line, given the results that are around the league. They got a 1-0 lead in the 75th minute against Colorado Springs. And everybody down. It's RGV, right? Las Vegas. I mean, to be fair, El Paso is only 1 point ahead of RGV, so really you could say 9 over the course of 8 teams. There's only 13 within the Western Conference. So the majority are sitting there right at the playoff line going, are we in? Are we out? What do we need to do? Both of these teams, though, have been in good form recently. There's a consistency factor that has been very difficult to replicate around the league. These two, though, have been quite impressive, really, over the last 5-6 game stretch. Monterey Bay a bit further.
Aguilera for Indy. He's able to get Sam Brown involved in the play. Hackshaw, this near side. A lot of defending so far for Monterey Bay to deal with in these opening minutes. Brown. Again, Aguilera the target. Pino was trying to find him. Stefano Pino's been tremendous this season for Mark Lowry's group. Leads the team with 10 goals, has 3 assists as well. Number 29 in white. Will certainly be a target man for Indy 11. Well, he's thrown into the penalty area. Touched out of play for a corner for the visitors.
Nice quick start here for Indy 11. And you and I were talking about this earlier tonight. Sometimes teams are just, they're flat out performing at a much higher rate. Mark Lowry was big on that. And a lot of people look and say, what's different? It's time. It's the ability to find an understanding of a system that is not primarily used really anywhere in North America at this point in time. Mark Lowry is very well accustomed to it. He's found success in it, but can he get his players to buy into it and do it regularly? Gone are the days of the one-offs in the USL Championship. 34 games deep, you got to find a way to challenge because of the total depth that has been provided and the quality of players that have come in, the coaching caliber gone up. Monterey Bay know about that all too well. And Indy 11, they've just been magnificent over the past 4 games against some high quality opponents.
Saw Robbie Dambrot in the middle of that last sequence, trying to make opportunities appear for Indy 11. Siaha was able to clear it in the end via a goal kick. Frank Yallop really wants his fullbacks to be heavily involved tonight. That was a matchup both coaches talked about as being key to the game this evening. Also heard multiple coaches, not just Mark Lowry, when looking at Monterey Bay, talk about the back line, and in particular, again, Mark Lowry mostly focused on Robinson and Donor, but other coaches around the league have talked about how good Kai Green has been, Hugh Roberts as well, that center back pairing that they've had all season. And Frank Yallop's talked about it, said it's just been the consistency they've had together and the experience those two have, not only in the league in general, at this level in general, but experience together and the continuity that line has had. It's what's been leading to the recent success.
The guys that Frank Yallop really trusts for the compilation of this team. Ian Russell, Landon Donovan talked about their character, their ability, getting the green light for those players because they knew them as people, not just as players. Because you have to start somewhere, and it's easy to think, okay, well, you got to get a stadium, you got to get a team, you got to get a coach. That's great. But what does the true DNA of your team look like, and what is the fight going to look like when it's not going well? Who are your leaders going to be? yeah, you need talented playmakers for sure, but you need good people within a locker room to make sure all of that talent stays on track. And that certainly starts and stops with guys like Hugh Roberts and Kai Green on the back line.
Vasquez. Hackshaw cleverly flicking it into the path of Pino. Aguilera. This is where Indy are really a breath of fresh air these last 4 games. So good in their interplay around penalty areas of the opposition. Dambrot. Great little touch there to find Pino.
Oh, that's the ball.
Into the middle as well. It was really well worked again by Indy 11. Siaha comes up with it.
That sequence right there, that's one of my more favorite things that they've started to accomplish since the acquisition of Robert Dambrot. It's his confidence coming off of the back line, playing that advanced role. It's something that you didn't see a ton of with his short stint with Loudoun United in 2019. And then in 2021, he was a mainstay on the back line, but they used him in a different fashion. And certainly, all due respect, not under Bob Lilly. Really impressive, already bagged himself a goal, the vision, and he just loves to attack those spaces on the inside.
Haven't seen many forays forward yet from Monterey Bay. That's going to be a foul and a free kick as Simon Dawkins trying to work his way through. Free kick for the visitors. This was the wonderful last sequence from Indy that nearly led to a chance. Hugh Roberts, I think, may have got a touch onto that.
Think about it as well. You've taken your outside back, bumped him into the highest role. You've taken your striker, pulled him out of that central location, and all of a sudden, the left side of your diamond is playing as your number 10 in Neville Hackshaw. Those are the questions that Mark Lowry has been able to have answered by his squad and what they're asking of the opposition over the past 4 games. The rotation, the frequency within it, the efficiency in which they're able to operate. I mean, look at how crisp they are. It's 1-2 touch passing. If the positive momentum's not on, change the pace, change the directions, stretch the team in front of you, and find another avenue.
It was fascinating to hear Mark Lowry touch on some of the ways that his team has developed of late as Pino here was brought down by Fair. He even mentioned to us, Devin, about team building exercises. When they're on the road, the games they try to play together, they do a lot of trivia quizzes amongst the group, soccer, tennis, things like that, that have brought the group closer together throughout the season. And Mark Lowry referenced his great team with El Paso multiple times to us as well, and what he learned from that, and the fact that he's really been proud of the way his players have dealt with everything this season, and he's proud of himself and his coaching staff, he told us as well. And said it's one of the best seasons he's ever had as a coach, the way he's got these guys to get going throughout the season, especially of late. Meanwhile, Monterey Bay on the counterattack with Gleedle. Vasquez tries to hold it up. Dawkins in pursuit. Chance for Boone to take aim, and he lifts it over the top and out for a goal kick. As Monterey Bay finally come to life in the attacking third.
I told you, for me, the biggest point of emphasis has been on Sam Gleedle and his understanding of what his role is going to be. Playing in that 10 spot, you think he's going to be an out-and-out playmaker, but he's not always going to be. He can hold up, he can dissect you. He's got the speed to get down into the channel as well. This time he gets the run from Chase Boone. But I want to go back to your point that you just made about Indy 11 and the team-building exercise. Here's a great reference. Coming into the night, they are neck and neck with another team in a very similar situation, Phoenix Rising. 32 points coming in. Phoenix has been abysmal in the West. They both on 32. Same exact amount of points. And yet, look how different the resume is as we're closing out the season for Indy 11 within those building exercises, understanding what each individual's role is and what the system is going to look like. Not just for the rest of the year, but setting yourself up for success next year. This team is headed in a positive direction. Phoenix, they're still struggling. And so can you try and get little tidbits to combine it all together? Mark Lowry and Indy are certainly on the right path as opposed to the Western Conference wonder that once was Phoenix Rising.
Very interesting comparison there, to say the least, Devin, as Monterey Bay tried to get on with their free kick. Pino stood in the way of it, and the ball was kicked into him. He was certainly not 10 yards away. Did deflect out for a throw. Gerald Flores, our center official this evening in Seaside. Just making sure Pino knows what to do next time. Monterey Bay get their free kick in the end. The reason for that, of course, is Gerald Flores hadn't allowed Monterey Bay to take it the first time, and they just wanted to let Gerald Flores know that Pino was within the 10 yards. Roberts back for Kai Green. Now Donor has had a very good season distributing the ball. Galidal out wide. Another chance for Dawkins. Tries to find Boone here towards the back post. It's lifted over the top of him and out of play. Now Boone and Galidal, joint team leaders with 6 goals this season. Galidal's gotten a big chunk of them in the latter games of the season. Monterey Bay win it back high up the field. Valesky to Galidal, who tried to back heel it. As Bobby Fair was begging for him to just turn and pass it to him. Indy 11 come out with it. Hackshaw to Pino. Will be slowed down by Dambrot. Interesting first 15 minutes in this one, to say the least. Ball is floated forward. Pino held up by Kai Green. Or San Diego and Phoenix, they've kicked off as well. Oakland against Red Bulls 2. That's a massive one for the Roots as well. RGV trying to close out the Switchbacks, who had a chance to clinch a playoff spot tonight. Brendan Burke's group with a win. They trail 1-0. The Toros leading at home. And it's 1-1 between San Antonio and New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico.
How about that?
Great job. I told you they're better on the road this year, man. It's shocking. It's the Bees. Chris Wehan, 66th minute. If they're away from Isotopes Park, somehow this team seems to find better results, and San Antonio still, they're struggling for form. They may be in the driver's seat for the #1 overall, but they have not looked good doing it over the past 5 to 6 games.
Just gonna say that result is probably music to Danny Cruz and Lou City's ears. They won 4-2 against Loudoun earlier on tonight. If it stays the same in San Antonio, that would give Lou City a bit more of a path to getting the top overall seed. Big win for Detroit City against Tampa Bay earlier on tonight as well. Miami missed a chance to clinch the playoffs in the East. 2-2 draw against Atlanta United 2, and then Hartford really giving a thumping victory over Vegas. And the Lights now vulnerable in the Western Conference playoff chase. Maury Donor for Monterey Bay. Given some space to run into. Flicks it into the path of Chase Boone. Boone picks his head up, switches the point of attack. Chance here for Dawkins towards the byline. Cross is blocked. Out it goes off the boot of Timmer for a corner. Another look there at Mark Lowry. Always great to talk with him, and Frank Yallop for that matter. He's a little frustrated there with the last sequence. He has such high standards for this Indy 11 team, and they haven't wavered no matter how good or bad it's been this season. He's had to make some changes to the squad at points during the year as well to try to get what he wanted. His team has to defend this corner. It's going to flick out of play on this near side for a Monterey Bay throw. It's been starting to come together of late for Indy, to say the least. Donor handles that. Indy get a free kick. Mark Lowry says to slow it down just a tick. Talked about Monterey Bay's solid home record this season hasn't been a great road record for Indy. If you look at the entirety of the campaign, just 2 road wins all season. 9 defeats, just 3 draws. And now they're in that red-hot form that we talked about. But again, can they bring it on the road? They did get that result at Detroit City, 0-0 draw, but Indy have to win. They want any chance to keeping their mathematical hopes alive for the foreseeable future.
That's not difficult for a manager either, where you think about the fact that you've all but been eliminated, right? And so how do you maintain the positive mentality within a group that you don't want to say doesn't have anything to play for? Because of course you can argue contracts and future, but let's be clear, you're coming here for one thing, right? You want to get results, you want to go play in the playoffs, you want to win a title. When that has escaped you, almost, to keep these guys in positive focus is almost impossible. But how much did Mark Lowry talk about the growing process for himself as an individual and his players? And how, if you look at Lowry, he's only ever had success. Whether it was with the Jacksonville Armada, of course, most recently in the West with El Paso Locomotive. Back-to-back Western Conference finalists his first 2 seasons. You look around, it's a humbling experience. But he also attributed this season to the most individual growth, which has allowed him to become more expansive in his thought process, to simplify things over this difficult stretch, to make it easier on the guys, but still help continue the graph of growth and the pattern that should be for a team. Like, let's be honest, personnel or not, this team has the ability, whether in the Eastern Conference or relevance in the USL Championship, to be a team that is hard to beat, that is a contender. They just started slow, then everything became stacked against them. It's poor form, it's injuries. But what you're getting now is a true testament of what could be for the future and beyond. And I can't wait to see what they're capable of the rest of this game, and specifically in the offseason, because this is something special they're building, just like Monterey in the Western Conference.
It is the first meeting, of course, between these two, and Monterey Bay's inaugural season is Maury Donor is hacked down by Sam Brown. Frank Yallop's group get a free kick.
He's got a fun little journey, Sam Brown. It's a Harvard alum who, Michigan native, actually started working in the front office, some PR and communication stuff for Real Salt Lake. They drafted him, didn't sign him, all of a sudden pops up with the Monarchs, and next thing you know, Eastern Conference, 22 games plus for Mark Lowry, holding down that number 6 spot in the midfield.
James Murphy with the service. And it curls into the path, allowing it to be headed out of play. Easy enough for Indy defensively on that occasion. Indy have had the better of at least touches in the respective final third so far, but we're starting to see Monterey Bay establish more of what they wanted to do coming into the night, which is go at Indy 11 from the start. Nearly a slip up there, well recovered by Kai Green. Moby Fair. Murphy centrally. Valesky tried to turn into space. Boone keeps that back line honest. Dambrot is able to clear for now, but Monterey Bay come back through the middle. Played out wide for Donor. Service into the middle. Tim Trilk leaps highest to get it.
You keep an eye on it, it's pretty interesting. Both teams really focused on the width of the field. Balls come in, they're immediately popping out to the outside. Good look at it, right? They're going around the central locations. Indy 11 heavily favoring this left-hand flank. There's a better balance for Monterey Bay, but guys like Justin Ingram, Sam Brown, it's more difficult for them to get on the ball, so they're chasing a bit more. I make the same argument for Moby Fair and James Murphy, especially the way that they like to push Maury Donor. There's a good look. They're outside right back, higher into the attack. It's a lot of running through midfield play, but again, over the last 15 seconds, it's literally gone from the outside left side for Indy 11 all the way the back to the left for Monterey Bay without missing the beat.
Hackshaw has plenty of space here to work with. Dambrot, early ball. It's served in the end over the top and out of Siaha's goal. Donor played it back for Murphy. Sees Grant Robinson on the far side for Monterey Bay. Simon Dawkins helping out. Flared forward again for Donor. This is where Frank Yallop wants him to be for a good chunk of the match, high up the field. What a slide it through. It falls for Gleedle. Gets it back from Valesky after it was deflected on the way through. Boone chipping it in. Indy 11 just getting out of the penalty area through Timmer. Asante. It's given back. Gleedle to Dawkins. Into the middle, Valesky. Leaves it for Boone. Indy a little scrunched in the middle of the penalty area there. Couple appeals for offside. Plays allowed to continue. Whipped into the middle towards Valesky. Headed it but not cleared. Backheeled by Gleedle into the air. More Monterey Bay pressure. Murphy. Green. Donor. Murphy has time. Chips it for Maury Donor, who could not keep it in play. It's a good spell for Monterey Bay, but not able to create a chance out of it. Full time, by the way, in San Antonio. It finishes 1 each between San Antonio FC and New Mexico United. And RGV beats the Switchbacks by 1-0. So those results you were speculating on earlier have come to fruition. Indy on the other end here. Siaha comes up with a big stop. Pino lurking in the middle. And in the end, Timber didn't get a chance to make the cross.
There's no slowing down, is there? I mean, they are wide open right now. You got to be careful that you don't open yourself up too much. Maintain the core as you move. The entire units come together with you. Look at all the space on the inside. That's a tackle, studs up. Watch out.
Referee has already taken the yellow card out of his pocket here. Both players involved are still, well, they were down for the moment. And in the end, the yellow card is shown.
Yeah, watch when he leaves his feet, watch the studs. That's why.
Well, they stayed there as well.
Yeah.
Chase Boone booked.
And it's not necessarily the sweeping motion of the leg, because if he's on the top of his foot, he can get away with it. But the other side, how good has this guy been? Anthony Siaha. Only 6 goals given up through 12 appearances. 0.5 goals against average and 6 shutouts to his name. The goalkeeper has been incredible for Frank Yallop. Those are the type of numbers that he's not going to hit the 20 game mark this year just because of the lack of games that are available to them. But he has certainly cemented himself as the #1 overall goalkeeper within the team, and those type of numbers, they'll start winning you individual awards, and throughout the course of a season, give your team a real opportunity to make a run at things.
Nabil Hackshaw is still down at the end of that challenge being attended to for Indy 11. For the challenge that Chase Boone put in on him, we'll take another look at it.
And again, just watch the bottom. It's right there. You can't lead with the bottom of your studs. That's difficult to get away with anywhere on the field, Sean, yet alone right in front of the referee. That's the 101s, the do's and don'ts, when you're learning as a young man what you can and cannot get away with. I don't mind the effort at all. It's just one of those tackles that you're pushing so hard that as you stretch away from your body, the natural tendency is for your foot to open up like that. You can't blame them. I'm doing the same thing. I'm leaving my feet there too.
I'm guessing leaving your studs up is pretty early on in the syllabus for Soccer 101, I would say.
It depends on where you're brought up. You know, what's the ambition? What type of player are you? What's your position? My teachings and backgrounds and the mentors that I had were very much of an old school mentality. The brute force and power could definitely overtake skills in a lot of situations. And then I was also fortunate that I had a complement and pairing that the technical ability was sort of put as an a la carte item, if you will. I think Roy Keane, that's where I'm sitting.
It's not bad.
That's where that was the type of midfielder that I was. I ended up as a center back just because talent levels are different. You get to other areas, and you see so many strikers that at 10 years of age, they're scoring 50 goals in a season, and by the time they hit 15, they're an 8 or a 7, or they're an outside back. Things evolve.
I'm sure our colleague Gary Bailey appreciates a Roy Keane comparison.
Although a favorite player, obviously not the true supporting nature in my book.
Same here. Monterey Bay are in again. They score this time. Valesky was denied, but Chase Boone on the follow-up gives Monterey Bay the lead just past the half-an-hour mark. A goal that could be oh so important for their playoff hopes. Chase Boone's 7th goal of the season gives Monterey Bay a lead of 1-0.
The same argument in the 5th minute is the same argument as we approach minute number 30. It's outside in. The expansion of play has favored the left side for both of these teams. It has bypassed the central midfield locations, but everybody else has been great. As the ball comes direct, look at the two options you have. You've got your 10 in Sam Gleadle and Chase Boone. Chase Boone was the one who held the torch for this team mid-season prior to his injury. 3 goals in 4 games. That June-July mark, he's got 7 now. That's what Frank Yallop is looking for. The tenacity, the grit, the fight, and now the lead.
Dawkins picks off the pass in behind. Dawkins just misses the target after he took it back from Jerome. And now Seaside's really lively now. What a couple of sequences for Monterey Bay. They nearly scored another.
You just can't be this slow. As quick as the decisions have been coming off the back line, gets caught flat-footed a little bit as the ball comes square back across. It's certainly not a hospital ball. Meshach Jerome's got to be, he committed to a move that wasn't available to him. As a center back, you got to be on your toes there, because it's not a great ball, but it's certainly not a bad ball. You have the ability to step in and, Sean, at least lace it and clear it off the back line.
Indy 11, the first 15 minutes. We're on top of Monterey Bay. It's changed. The last 5-10 minutes, Frank Yallop's group have forced the issue. 1 on the board already, could have been 2. And they have it again. Great work from Simon Dawkins, anticipating that as well. Just couldn't hit the target. It's a foul and a free kick for Indy. Got to remember, Chase Boone is on a yellow card as well. It's got a goal and a yellow. First 33 minutes. I know in hockey, a goal, assist, and a fight, I believe, is a Gordie Howe hat trick.
Not a boy.
Is there a soccer equivalent? Goal, assist, and a yellow? We'll leave the red out of it for a little bit here.
Free bar tab.
I like that. I like that. Well, Chase Boone's 2/3 of the way. Pino picks it up for Indy. Hackshaw's there in support. Solomon Asante dispossessed. Gleedle comes out with it for Monterey Bay. Valesky up ahead of him. Gleedle tries to find him. It's well defended by Jesus Vasquez. This is the Monterey Bay that we've seen the last few weeks. Didn't get to play against Vegas due to that postponement. The game's been rescheduled for later on this month. What a last few weeks in particular, even go back a month or two for Monterey Bay, the way they've played. And we were talking to Frank Yallop about even the comparisons between those first 6 games on the road and the rest of the season and how much of a difference it's been. The fans here at Cardinale Stadium have certainly played their part in that.
Think about that as well. Any team at any level that has success has something built within their city. And I mean that in the sense of culture and the environment, right? Obviously the stadium, yes, of course, but you go on the road for your first 7 games, and it's difficult to go on the road in general, but going to Phoenix to start the year, no thanks. Going to altitude in Colorado Springs, pass. You know, El Paso Locomotive, Southwest University Park, not easy. Toyota Field, San Antonio, you've basically sealed your fate, and yet you haven't. Right? That's an even bigger testament for this team, because we've seen plenty of other teams. Hartford Athletic was a good shout in 2019. And the struggles that they had. Loudoun United is another one. You don't have your own home ground. You don't have that familiarity and the ability that no matter what the circumstance is, Sean, your fans are going to help get you there. Your friends are going to be there to support you. You're on the road every single time. You're looking around looking for answers as opposed to knowing that results are coming your way.
Indy 11's been a team the last few years that's bounced between venues.
Transient.
As well, yeah.
For sure.
Exactly. And just to piggyback off the previous point, it's Monterey Bay run that they've been on. I know Oakland are doing it again almost, seemingly again this year, but it reminds me of last year's Oakland team, the way they started out under Jordan Farrell. They recovered, got to the postseason, stunned Mark Lowry's El Paso Locomotive in the first round. It's got that feel here. Another inaugural season for a team and in the Western Conference, no less. Monterey Bay and Frank Yallop have just told us, we've talked to him about some of these things, and he just says, yeah, but it's one game at a time. We can't look at too far ahead, can't look at things like that. It's not going to help us, and they've continued to get the results, and they're off to a good start here tonight. Speaking of Noah Delgado's Oakland, no score in the Roots game against Red Bulls 2, 35th minute. Actually, no score in the other 2 games going on at the moment. San Diego Phoenix as well. Meanwhile, Gleedle, you wouldn't blame him for shooting from there the way he's been playing at the moment, but sends it soaring over the top.
He's got to find a way to get the midfield back into this game. And I know that I've made the argument that so much has come from the outside, but it does start somewhere. And Sam Brown having trouble because of this wedge that's been created. Look right in the middle of your screen. Christian Valesky, Sam Gleedle, they're locking him down so you can't play in. So you got to find a way to play around him. As you come into Hackshaw, then you have pressure coming from Chase Boone, who's pushing up on Robbie Dambrot. Frequently, over the past 15 minutes, that's the outcome. It's a turnover. They stretch you. They ask you to chase a little bit. And then Monterey Bay go back to work. Mark Lowry on the sideline just looking. Justin Ingram, Raul Aguilera, anybody within this midfield diamond to find a way to have an impact on this game. Too much tracking.
Chase Boone, with his team leading 7th goal of the season, has Monterey Bay in front. Jerome. Assessing the scene. Flaring it forward. It's a beautifully weighted ball for Pino. Well covered by Maury Donor. Not much that Chase Boone could do with it in the end. It's out for an Indy throw. Pressure up the field from Justin Ingram and company, and Gleadle now trying to do the same on the opposite end. Brown has it now for Indy 11. Hackshaw, seems like every time he touches it, he's got space in front of him. Dambrot.
He's just got no support, though.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You can step into it, but that means you become the main attacking option. To be fair, Mark Lowry was pretty candid about the fact that that's what he wants. The space, the real estate, the power to carry the ball, the freedom to roam with it. You still would like some sort of variable to help him out, because we've seen this all too frequently. You start to go the other way, there's the turnover, then all of a sudden, Monterey Bay wheeling and dealing. As they push forward here, you're forcing decisions on the back line here for Indy 11. There was an overcommittal by Jared Timmer, who's been extremely consistent all season on this back line. But he's got to make a decision. If you don't take the challenge there, Sean, you really hit a poor danger area. If you make the mistake and get called for a foul, you're still 35 plus out off center, and it's a bit more difficult to handle than if you're around the 20-yard mark.
So Timmer was booked for that. From the free kick, Roberts, I think, was the one who headed it towards Boone. Maybe took a deflection on the way through. In the end, it ends up in the hands of Tim Trilk. Just under 5 minutes left in the first half, plus some potential injury time after that. If the result holds, Indy 11 would be confirmed to be out of the postseason. In the live table, I believe that moves Monterey Bay. Again, long way to go, but would move Monterey Bay all the way up to 8th. And they started the night in 11th. Welcome to the 2022 USL Championship playoff race. Jerome Flores having a word with Moby Fair. Free kick for Monterey Bay. James Murphy's been taking most of them in this first half, if not all of them. Switches the point of the attack to Grant Robinson, who threads it through beautifully. Valesky has it. Trying to get Maury Donor involved on this near side. Donor held up. Murphy there in support. Back down the line to Boone. Chipped into the path of Donor. Donor's ball across is headed off the 6-yard line, only as far as Murphy. Now Dawkins. Sam Gleadle. Valesky. Gleadle. Boone. 2-0. Brilliantly done. A wonderfully executed team goal for Monterey Bay. Boone with a brace. Monterey Bay are California dreaming. They lead 2-0 over Indy 11. Sparkling stuff from the hosts.
Hats off, gentlemen. This is stuff that you sit at home and you play a video game. As a coach, you sit down and you model it. Tiny touches, in and out of little spaces, cone drills that are ingrained in you over and over again to accomplish the greatness that is the tiki-taka from Monterey Bay and Frank Yallop. Sam Gleadle out of the 10, getting to the byline. The run down into the corner, the ball, just enough English to check it up. Comes back across his body, the back post run. The touch of class, the kiss of death just before halftime. This team just continues to showcase itself at the highest of marks in the USL Championship.
Have there been many team goals than that this season?
Dear Lord, like, you just sit there and It's utter awe watching how good that was. That's the one where, as a manager, you know, I've asked this question to Frank Yallop before. I ask it to a lot of guys. When's the last time you walked off a field and went, that's it, that's the performance right there? Now, I'm citing that specific goal, but when you look at that and break it down, you can't ask for anything else.
What a climax to the first half that could turn out to be for Monterey Bay. I was wondering on the replay if Dambrot maybe had gotten a little bit of a touch on it on the way through. It's gone down as a Chase Boone second goal for the time being. And what a goal it was. As we approach first half injury time here in Seaside. Siaha in no hurry to take the goal kick and show the appreciation to their boys in blue here in Monterey Bay as we enter 2 minutes of injury time at the end of the first half. Yeah, first half, Devin, where Indy were dominant for the first 15 minutes. But a switch was flipped. And Chase Boone has a brace. Monterey Bay are rolling. Actually, now we're being told, Devin, that it was a Dambrot own goal. So I think he did get a touch onto that and redirect it, but take nothing away from the buildup.
Here it comes again. Watch cutback.
Robinson for Gleedle, who nearly made it 3. It's just scintillating stuff from Monterey Bay. Everything but the finish on this occasion.
And to be fair, the only argument I would have, you think it's the finish, I think it's the ball. I want the ball on the carpet. And this thing just hops up off the deck a little bit. So as he takes it, you're catching it at the apex on the way up as opposed to coming down or flat. See? Little skip. That little skip right there on the redirect by Gleedle. And it's not his fault. It's one of the more difficult ones to take. But again, start from the inside. You let it develop. The space is there. You compress the back line because of the amount of attackers you have for Monterey Bay. Indy comes to the inside. You get a high run, cut it back across. Could be 4, right? And yet, with the start, could be 2-2.
Yeah.
That's the start. That's the game, and that's where we're at right now.
Definitely. Right now, it's Monterey Bay in the ascendancy. It could be the last act of the half. Dawkins. Still Simon Dawkins, who takes it on. In the end, maybe slightly ambitious. Over the top it goes. And that could very well take us to halftime. Wasn't a bad effort from Simon Dawkins, but in the end, Indy can clear it. And we'll see if that ends the first half. It does. What a wonderful finish to the half from Monterey Bay. Wonderful team goal. In the end, it goes down as an own goal, but Chase Boone had already scored 1 before that. He's still on 7 goals for the season. Monterey Bay leading Indy by 2-0 after a phenomenal final 30 minutes to the half.
Statistically, they're actually quite similar in terms of possession, number of passes, and the accuracy. But this is just about their ability to be more advanced, more aggressive in the final third and say, we're going to take the game over. That was a tactical nightmare for Indy 11 and a masterclass performance by Monterey Bay.
We'll see if it changes in the second half. Monterey Bay in control by 2-0.
In 2007, a group of local business owners realized a dream by establishing First Capital Bank. We cultivate thriving communities by growing and sustaining businesses on the Central Coast. As we celebrate 15 years, our commitment to personalized service remains unwavering, and we continue to give back to our communities. Experience First Capital Bank.
Launches away, Remillard has scored!
It's time for a flash sale. Starting at 12 a.m. tonight, all tickets in sections N1 through N5 are 50% off for just 24 hours. Join us as our push for the playoffs continues on Wednesday, September 21st versus Phoenix Rising FC. Let's pack the house in Cardinale Stadium.
Coastal Roots Hospitality is a proud partner of the Monterey Bay Football Club. Coastal Roots Events and Catering, along with its 3 iconic restaurants, Montrio, Tarpe's, and Rio Grill, invite you to pick it up and pay it forward, where 10% of all proceeds from takeout orders are donated to various local charities. Their catering service and restaurants utilize local farms, butcheries, and ocean fresh sustainability-driven seafood to deliver unique and exemplary dining experiences. For more information, visit coastalrootshospitality.com.
Tonight's halftime is presented by Integris Wealth Management. Sean St. Jacques, Devin Kerr here with you, Seaside, California. The site, Monterey Bay, leading Indy 11 by 2-0 at the half. A very good start for Frank Yallop's group. Mark Lowry's team have to win if they are to keep their mathematical hopes of a playoff spot alive for one more week. As we take a look now around the USL Championship, and we start with the Golden Boot race. And Milanowski, we said this a little bit earlier before we came on the air, Devin. Orange County fighting for their playoff lives with the Golden Boot winner at their disposal.
It might be the second time ever USL Championship history sees the Golden Boot winner not makes the postseason. He's awesome. I don't see anybody catching him. However, Philip Goodrum's having a pretty good season himself. Haji Berry trailing just 4 goals back of him at 16. But why don't we look at the guys that helped get them to that spot as well, the playmakers, guys that chances created, assists. Aaron Malloy right there for that 901 FC team that's done so well. A guy coming out of League One, bumped himself up. That's a Penn State guy in the Big Ten making his name in the USL Championship. I love the quote by Ben Pierman. He says, nobody knew about Aaron Malloy before I went and found him, and they're not wrong. Lou City great that was Antoine Opino. He's sitting on 9, just 1 back. And 2 of my personal favorites, Haji Berry, more specifically Cam Lindley, who also leads the league in chances created. Not to be forgotten by King Kennardo Forbes.
That's right, no question about that. And let's look at clean sheets as well. Connor Sparrow for Miami FC's had a tremendous season as well.
He's done great for himself. This is the tightest race we've ever had in terms of the individual accolades at the goalkeeping position. Goals against really close. It's Kyle Morton, it's Connor Sparrow, Jordan Farr's in that argument as well. All 3 have 12 clean sheets. All 3, by the way, conceding tonight, some of which multiple goals. That is something that we don't normally see. Stacked talent at every single level and position within the USL Championship. Great to see.
And Matt Van Oekel's had a great season as well in that conversation from the Birmingham Legion. We'll take another break. More to come from Seaside, California. Monterey Bay in control at the half, leading Indy 11 by 2-0.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
trying to take down their rival. The legend has done it again here in Sacramento. He's turned the whole game around.
It's a goal for Orange County SC and their first of the season.
And that's full time.
Coastal Roots Hospitality is a proud partner of the Monterey Bay Football Club. Coastal Roots Events and Catering, along with its 3 iconic restaurants, Monterey, Tarpey's, and Rio Grill, invite you to pick it up and pay it forward, where 10% of all proceeds from takeout orders are donated to various local charities. Their catering service and restaurants utilize local farms, butcheries, and ocean-fresh, sustainability-driven seafood to deliver unique and exemplary dining experiences. For more information, visit coastalrootshospitality.com.
Back here on the Integris Wealth Management Halftime Report, Sean St. Jacques, Devin Kerr back here with you with Frank Yallop's Monterey Bay FC leading Indy 11 at the half by 2 really well-taken goals to 0. Big 45 minutes coming up for both in just a matter of moments. But first and foremost, we look back around the league at news and notes around the USL Championship as this crazy playoff race continues to send us down the stretch of this regular season. And of course, Devin, 5 of the 7 in the East have punched tickets. Miami missed a chance to make that 6 out of 7 earlier on tonight. And of course, the West is wide open, crazy, wild, whatever you want to call it.
RGV go and take down Colorado Springs, HEB Park, the place where dreams go to die, as I always say. That's still my favorite saying in the USL Championship. New Mexico United handle their business on the road. Monterey Bay flying. Oakland Roots have a little bit of a layup against Red Bull too, but again, everything is so unpredictable. I still tell everybody to stay focused on October 15th because no matter what the results are between now and then, that is going to be the defining day that we do have 2 dates confirmed. It's the start of postseason play on October 21st and the final on November 13th, a little bit earlier this year.
And again, out of those 3 teams that had a chance to clinch, Miami and the Switchbacks did not. San Diego's, take a look at the live scoreboard at the moment. Stoppage time in the first half, San Diego Phoenix. They're about to go into halftime. It's 0-0. Big wins for Lou City and Detroit City as well. Still a lot to be determined between Oakland and Red Bulls, too, after Miami missed a chance to clinch.
Hats off to Hartford Athletic.
Yeah,
that's now 3 out of the last 4. You throw a draw in there, back-to-back victories for Tav Ramos. They've turned it around, and they've set a standard for themselves because you've gotten a coach in, you've gotten some momentum. Now you can start the recruiting process because although they have been eliminated, unlike Indy until this point in time, who hang on for hopes, they are setting themselves up for next season, as other teams are trying to do as we come down the stretch. Tomorrow night, 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern. Mike Watson, myself, Sacramento Republic and Orange County on ESPN2. Some other notable games that you want to keep an eye on, that San Antonio Colorado Springs game on this coming Tuesday. Do Colorado Springs, after the win, have any chance at maintaining momentum, staying in the top 4? Maybe a shot at 2, depending on what San Diego does. Los Dos and El Paso Locomotive. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. They're right on the playoff line. Again, the separation in the West is such a finite amount. You cannot slip up, even if you've got 6 games to go.
Big second half upcoming. Meanwhile, for Monterey Bay, they lead by 2 goals to 0. We'll get to highlights, we'll get to stats, and we'll get to the second 45 from Seaside. All of it is coming up next.
In 2007, a group of local business owners realized a dream by establishing First Capital Bank. We cultivate thriving communities by growing and sustaining businesses on the Central Coast. As we celebrate 15 years, our commitment to personalized service remains unwavering, and we continue to give back to our communities. Experience First Capital Bank.
Coastal Roots Hospitality is a proud partner of the Monterey Bay Football Club. Coastal Roots Events and Catering, along with its 3 iconic restaurants, Monterey, Tarpey's, and Rio Grill, invite you to pick it up and pay it forward, where 10% of all proceeds from takeout orders are donated to various local charities. Their catering service and restaurants utilize local farms, butcheries, and ocean-fresh, sustainability-driven seafood to deliver unique and exemplary dining experiences. For more information, visit coastalrootshospitality.com.
Dale, dale, dale.
It's time for a flash sale. Starting at 12 a.m. tonight, all tickets in sections N1 through N5 are 50% off for just 24 hours. Join us as our push for the playoffs continues on Wednesday, September 21st versus Phoenix Rising FC. Let's pack the house in Cardinale Stadium.
Sean St. Jacques, Devin Kerr here with you. Monterey Bay leading at the half over Indy 11 by 2-0. It's been a tremendous half for Frank Yallop's group, especially the last half an hour. And we'll see if they can continue it in the second half of this one. Plenty of work for Mark Lowry's crew to do at halftime. Let's see how we got to this halftime scoreline. In the first half, highlights 27th minute. This was more along the lines of the start of the game with Indy 11 in the ascendancy.
What's always so interesting to me for the Mark Lowry system is how he allows the strikers to be so involved in the attack and sometimes not be the main focal point, right? You've got an overlapping run here coming from Jared Timmer, but you've moved Raul Aguilera into the 9 spot with Pino on the back post run. That's not the case here for Monterey Bay. As they start to move forward, you're always going to find 2 main pieces on the inside. Now that could be Boone or Dawkins, who have bumped themselves up high. It could be Gleedle or Valesky. It is always going to be one of those 4 and then a complement. So they grab their first goal in the 31st minute courtesy of Chase Boone. Just sit back. Yeah, this is something that you try and design over and over again. I'm not exactly sure how the scorekeeper sees a deflection here by Robbie Dambrot, because all I see is the left foot, that little kiss right there. If it comes through the legs and ends up, still doesn't matter to me, because the triangular movements, inside, outside, statistically, they're quite similar. The main thing, obviously, shots on target, 2 of which end up into the back of the net for Monterey Bay. None for Indy 11 as they're trailing at halftime once again.
Monterey Bay will be going from right to left at the start of this second half on ESPN+, leading by 2-0. It would be a massive 3 points for them if they can pick them up tonight. This is a result, if it holds, that would officially eliminate Indy 11 from playoff contention in the Eastern Conference. So Mark Lowry's group have to come from behind and win tonight if they are to keep their, albeit slim, playoff hopes alive for another week. We touched on the great form that Indy 11 have been in coming into the night, but so have Monterey Bay. And it has shown through the first 45 minutes. Both of the goals were of the highest quality from Frank Yallop's group. And certainly Indy 11 is capable of coming back into it. We'll see if they are able to do so. Indy 11 did make a halftime adjustment. Alex McQueen is on as Monterey Bay gets us going in half number 2. Ahead for now. They were certainly in the ascendancy in the latter stages of that first half. Sean St. Jacques, Devin Kerr here with you, Seaside, California, Cardinale Stadium. And Monterey Bay certainly treated its fans to a wonderful finish to that first half. This is Grant Robinson sliding as he passes it forward. This is Simon Dawkins. Valesky left it for him. Dawkins waits for Valesky's support, plays it behind him. And Indy 11 get possession through Ingram.
It's obviously an interesting change for Mark Lowry and Indy 11, but a couple things to think about. A lot of the successful attacks for Monterey Bay did isolate themselves on that left-hand side for their attacking unit, but it's the right-hand side for Indy 11 and Jared Timmer, who is also on a yellow card. So you combine the two together, you got to find a way to reestablish some dominance on that side that they had in the opening 20 minutes. That's the reason for the substitution of Alexander McQueen. Would also say that he does possess more speed, just flat out straight line speed to help to stretch the game. That's something that was lacking there in the first half.
Substitutions are presented by Prep Club Society. Dawkins, meanwhile, for Monterey Bay. Valesky out wide. Robinson across the face, and it was touched over by Jesus Vasquez. That could have gone anywhere off the clearance.
Well, that's the midseason pickup coming over from RGV. Look at all this space. This is another concern that you have. How many times, Sean, have we seen that although it's a very similar look, when you come in, you find the run, you try and cut a ball square back across, there's so much space, and space that's easy to step into. They're lucky. There's a 5-yard separation between the back line and the goalkeeper in that spot.
Murphy's ball in, headed down. There was a brief handball appeal. Roberts had his shot blocked, and Indy clear it. Most of the time you see the center backs get ahead to it, if anything, but it fell kindly for Hugh Roberts. Unlucky for him that there was a defender right in front of him when he took aim. Meanwhile, a little bit of harrying by Moby Fair. It's a foul and a free kick for Indy. Chase Boone scored the first goal. The second goal went down as an own goal, although Boone was in the area for it. Valesky on the attack here for Monterey Bay, trying to thread it through for Chase Boone. And again, Vasquez made a stop, but he gives it right back to Boone, who didn't give up on the play. Still alive here. Murphy scores! Curling it in to the back of the Indy net. A wonderful goal from James Murphy. Monterey Bay lead 3-0, each one of them better than the last.
Look at the perseverance and pressure down in the corner. Just talked about the transition coming over from Vasquez from RGV, but Chase Boone, they missed him so much because of the effort that he puts in. Wins the ball, cuts it back across, and James Murphy. Reminder, I said to you in that call with Frank Yallop, the combination pairing of Moby Fair and James Murphy, one of my favorites because of how different and how great they can be. Together, separate, shining bright here, James Murphy, his first on the season, and look at what it means to him.
He had 4 assists coming into the night, James Murphy, because of that wonderful right boot of his. He's taken chances like that on all season. He got that one just right. Dawkins for Gleadle. Oh my word, they scored again! Goodness me! Sam Gleadle's at it again! 2 goals in 2 minutes for Monterey Bay. They're ripping Indy apart. They lead 4-0. And it simply has not been better than this for Monterey Bay this season.
Same amount of pressure. This time it's Sam Gleadle. Gleadle continues the overlapping run. That's the key emphasis here. As he drags, look at him intertwining himself. 9 times out of 10, that run gets all the way to the byline, and then you try and cut it back across. Instead, he uses the momentum, the touch into the negative space to his advantage. And then you have to make a decision. Really? You can pick any sort of present that you want if you're Sam Gleadle. How good does lucky number 7 feel? 4th on the night. There's a balance and equilibrium for this Monterey Bay team that we strived for all season long. We asked them and implored to see more out of them. Finally, you are seeing this team at its finest.
Borderline pandemonium in Seaside. What a performance this has been. And Indy coming into the night in such good form. Don't know what's hit them at the moment. Last time that Monterey Bay scored 4 goals in a game, it's happened once this season in their inaugural campaign. It was against the Colorado Springs Switchbacks back on May 28th. They won 4-2 here at Cardinale Stadium. It's the way that Frank Yallop's group have scored each of the goals that's really been sensational. And this is turning into quite the statement from Monterey Bay tonight. Ball is lofted in towards Gleadle again, who just couldn't quite size it up. Dawkins. Ball is touched on, and if it wasn't cleared by McQueen out for a corner, Gleadle would have been there ready to strike again.
That's the other side of this, right? They're not just scoring. They're doing it going away. And they look, you take every one of the team goals, just plop it on tape and say, this is what it should look like. This is what it feels like, and this is how great it can be.
Murphy from the corner. Can Monterey Bay do it again here? It's flicked on at the near post. It falls for Robinson, who chops it back into the path of Murphy. Curling it to the back post. It's headed down, and Dawkins, who ends up sending it wide. In the end, the flag is up. Offside is given. Wouldn't have counted even if Dawkins had found the net. Can Indy 11 have trouble playing it out of their own end? Is that a foul and a free kick? It is. And it's going to be a yellow card for Robbie Dambrot. Another opportunity for Monterey Bay to keep pouring it on.
Number 22.
Now both of your outside backs, obviously one stepped off, and Jared Timmer, it's so uncharacteristic. Why? There's no reason. That's just frustration as an individual because you've been pulled apart. You're one-on-one, you've got support around you, you've locked down the space, you've got the sideline to your advantage. Why extend your arm there? There's no reason at all.
That leads to a Monterey Bay free kick. Ball is looped in, it's there to be hit in the middle of the penalty area. Indy deal with it on that occasion. Siaha to recycle it. Looks like Indy's getting a couple of changes ready on the near touchline. Indy 11 on the break now. Solomon Asante behind Aguilera. Indy's changes are upcoming here. Ayoze is going to come on. Rebellon will join him. Looks like Ingram and Aguilera are going to come off. Hackshaw is going to come off for that second change. Juan Tejada comes on. It's a triple change in the end. So Ayoze, Rebellon, and Tejada come on. Ingram, Hackshaw, and Aguilera all come off. Substitutions presented by Prep Club Society.
I told you, Sean, they had to find a way to make a presence known in the midfield. It just didn't happen. So Lowry says, okay, line change. Let's go. Let's explore another avenue here, because with the talent they have, this game's not over. It's certainly not out of reach, but it's rapidly heading that direction. And I'm sure Detroit City fans are sitting at home quite happy, especially after their magnificent performance tonight and the win over the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Followed it up after the great one on the road against Colorado Springs. Indy 11 doing them some favors here. Certainly started strong, but it has not been pretty over the last 40+ minutes.
Ayose and Solomon Asante, the latter of whom coming off a 3-assist game against Birmingham. Trying to get Indy 11 on the path back here, as improbably as that seems at the moment. Ball in from Asante. We've seen much better from him. Out for a goal kick. Well, certainly Mark Lowry won't be happy. Still a long way to go, like you said, Devin. But I'm sure he'll credit, at least so far, the way that Monterey Bay have played tonight. They've just been, well, borderline off the charts at times, playing some of the best soccer they've played all season. Legal for Dawkins. It's still with the Union here in possession. Donor to the byline, tried to find Dawkins. Dambrot is able to clear it, only as far as fair. Just trying to line one up. It's going to be a foul and a free kick against Tejada. Monterey Bay set piece opportunity upcoming.
Sean, this is a situation where if it continues this way, I'm not wondering where Monterey, or if Monterey are going to get into the playoffs. I want to know where they're going to fall and how far they can go. That's what you're looking at right now. You're not looking at a team that is thinking, okay, maybe we can get in. You're looking at a team that virtually is only 1 point back of RGV, striving for greatness. This team is showing you that it can compete with anybody in the Western Conference right now.
I was just peeking back through Indy 11's schedule. Last time they had a performance where it was this many goals, or at least close to it. Gonna go back to June 25th in San Diego. The Loyal beat them 5-0 that night. And there hasn't been another one like this performance or that one, at least so far. Again, half an hour to go. Indy have plenty of attacking talent. Asante's ball into the middle was deflected. Siaha collects. It was actually a juncture of the season, that late June period that Mark Lowry was talking to us a little bit about. You know, our coaches call with him this week and how far they've come since then. And we were talking about this before the game. I mean, traveling and going out to the West Coast, I mean, can't say that it's not a factor. But when you're playing the way Monterey Bay are playing, I think that probably trumps all of the other talking points. They've just been tremendous tonight through an hour of play. And they win it back again. It's at the feet of Dawkins. Fair, who helped win it back. Murphy, who scored the third of the four. Monterey Bay scored 2 goals in 2 minutes back in the 49th and 50th to really stamp their authority on the match. This is McQueen. By the way, no score changes in the other 2 games that are going on right now. San Diego has a chance to clinch tonight if they win.
Oh, that hurts.
0-0 against Phoenix. Meanwhile, that's another foul and a yellow card. I think Tejada, the guilty party on that occasion. Substitute who had just come on a few minutes ago gets cautioned.
It looked like he caught the top of his foot as he steps into it. Watch right there, yeah. Combines with the top of the foot, also grabs some of the ankle. Watch the follow through right here. Yeah, that'll leave a mark. It looks so minuscule, right? Like it's just the bottom of your shoe moving at 100 miles an hour, and it's just a nick. It's not going to hurt. Those are the worst ones. It's this stinger that just sits on the bone and You feel that for weeks sometimes.
Just to finish the thought, 0-0 between Oakland and Red Bulls too as well. That's a result that, if it stays, would really benefit the rest of the West. Galidal to the byline. Stood up there by Mishak Jerome, and it's out for a corner.
Look at all the Monterey Bay players just smiling, happy-go-lucky. Very different than their counterparts. Christian Valesky, Simon Dawkins.
All is flared in. Indy get it out of the penalty area only as far as Galidal.
Friendly reminder, Sean, that this is in fact a game.
Yeah.
Right? It's still, I mean, I get it. It's
definitely.
We have jobs and you got to go perform, but it is a game and they're having fun doing it right now. Watch out again.
Boone in behind. Lovely little cut onto his right. Dawkins fighting for space. Galidal has time to recycle it. Well, you see it with teams all across the soccer planet in all different leagues. When you see teams playing like this, a lot of times coaches will say after the game, just told them to enjoy it. Keep going. We're starting to see a little bit of that tonight for Frank Yallop's group. But Indy 11 are certainly capable of making it interesting. Ayoze, substitute out wide. Dambrot will give and go. Ayoze again. Curls one. Siaha is well positioned to save it. And that's more like what we saw in the first 15 minutes from the visitors. They were so good with the interplay around the opposition penalty area. But it's been a Monterey Bay monsoon ever since.
It's still, if you can find a way, and I understand it's a big ask here, that with the addition of Ayoze, Rebellon, and Juan Tejada, already having Pino and Asante on the field, that's a recipe for disaster in the back line of Monterey Bay. The problem is they can't get them on the ball. Like, the pressure is just, it continues to mount, and it's one player after another. Can't go forward. That's a really good look. Rebellon has come over to help out a little bit. Both he and Ayoze are deep, heads up. You can't advance it, and so you're stuck in the same rut that you were in the first half. Got to find a way to go beat someone. One of two things happens. You beat someone, or you just flat out play quicker. That's the only way to get around this situation. You got to go beat a one-on-one situation, because then that opens up, Sean, an opportunity for someone else from Monterey Bay to have to step. You force their hand. You say, okay, I've just beaten your guy, and as I drag the ball, I'm going to tweak your shape, so who's going to come win it back for me? As you pull that guy, it's a domino effect. That's what Monterey Bay has been so good at.
Dawkins pressured. Sliding it through beautifully for Robinson, who plays Galidal in behind. It's beautiful again. Valesky, 5-0. Sensational. More tremendous team play from Monterey Bay, putting the cherry on top of the sundae here in Seaside.
Couldn't have come to anyone better than their 9. Look at the, I mean, how's this ball? Dear Lord, Grant Robinson. Just stop it. Stop it. Oh, the panache outside of the foot. Little English to check it up. A little run through, the cut across. Christian Valesky coming in. 53 career goals, all competitions. That's the championship, postseason, Open Cup play. 54 is going to be super sweet. And what you have to imagine could be a curtain call for some of these guys in this performance. Right around the corner, add some depth, let everybody else join in on the fun. My hat's off, gentlemen, because this is something special. That is only the second time under Mark Lowry that they've ever given up 5 goals. And I'm talking about 19, 20, 21, 22, that's 5 seasons running. They'd only given up 4, the manager, 3 previous times in El Paso. 3 times in 3 years. They've now given up 4 or more twice under Indy 11 and 5. Not the best of nights, and we'll leave it at that.
I'm going to borrow one of your phrases, Devin. That was downright rude.
I mean, that was just... There are sometimes you just sit back. I talked about this on the goal in the first half, just before halftime, the third. The touch pass that Grant Robinson plays through. It's this cheeky little dink, right? But the way that he follows through on it, doesn't hit it too hard, doesn't hit it too soft. You got to get a little bit on the ball so that as you hit it, it curls just in front of the runner's path for Gleadle.
Indy on the other end, it's headed into the middle. Offside flag is up.
Dawkins, it starts with his turn. He moves off Rebellon as he cuts back through. Watch right here. Go on, son. I mean, the thing just sits up. Let's be clear, Gleadle's still got a lot of work to do because he's got to take it on the outside of the right foot. But the hardest work is done. To dissect 4 separate players to get you into a 2v1.
Almost looked like he was putting on the putting green, Grant Robinson.
Yeah, that's Jack Nicklaus. You ever see that? You ever seen the one with, it's Jack Nicklaus and, oh, who's he with? In the middle of the fairway, telling him he can't putt it. It's like a 100-yard putt or something. Sticks it.
Yeah. By the way, it's Valesky's 5th goal of the season. It's just been...
Johnny Miller, that's who he was with.
There you go.
There it is.
Golden Bear. Monterey Bay continue. Valesky looking for Gleadle. Stays in play. Monterey Bay want more. Gleadle will shoot it. Touched away by Trilk, who needed to be very careful with it. Went through a couple of bodies. Asante stays down for now. Referee says it was a fair challenge. Monterey Bay keep it. Frank Yallop is getting ready to make some changes here as Asante stays down for Indy. And after Monterey Bay nearly scored a 6th.
He almost catches him sleeping too. Look at his eyes. Everything tells you he's trying to pick someone out. I said to Frank Yallop, and it wasn't in the middle of guilt or doubt. It was more so an impression that this young man has left on me in Sam Gleadle because of what he's been capable of from that attacking midfielder role and how perfect he's been to fit this system. Take a bow, my friend. Take a bow. Yeah, there's a wink, a blink, and nod from the Englishman. That's a heck of a performance. This entire shift by this team. I told you after that goal that was going to be the curtain call. Certainly is. Well-earned break with 20 minutes to go for the boys from Monterey Bay.
Substitutions presented by Prep Club Society. Hunter Gorski, Walmer Martinez, Adrian Rebelar all come on. James Murphy, Sam Gleadle, and Chase Boone, who have been so big tonight in this tremendous performance, all get a Seaside curtain call. I know we're still in the inaugural season for Monterey Bay, and there are bigger games to come, especially in this race, but I'm not sure Seaside has seen a night quite like this season. McQueen for Indy. Able to find Solomon Asante, who hasn't had too much of a chance to make an impact tonight. This goes again down to Monterey Bay, closing those gaps of distribution.
1-0, by the way. San Diego. Evan Conway has just put San Diego Loyal ahead of Phoenix Rising.
Pino.
Oh.
Deflected on the way through. Siaha saves after Tejada nearly set him up. That's a big goal potentially for the Loyal that would clinch a playoff spot.
You also have to understand that that's got to be the dagger, right? The hump that broke the camel's back, because even though mathematically Phoenix Rising is still in it,
yeah,
it's no different than the situation that RGV or Monterey Bay or Oakland or Las Vegas, stop me if you've heard this before, Sean, are in that you're in a must-win situation. The 6-point swings that are so prevalent around the rest right now, you can't afford yourself the luxury of slacking off at all. And if anything, this is the time of year where you expect teams to be at their best. As I look around the Western Conference, I'm really only making the argument for 3 teams, one of which is only because of what could be and what has been, as opposed to overall top form. Form, I'm sticking with Sacramento Republic. I'm sticking with this Monterey Bay team, and I'll take San Antonio. Everybody else has been so inconsistent within what they've brought to the field in their 90-minute performances. You can't bet on them. Card.
It's the substitute, Hunter Gorski, who gets it, taking down Solomon Asante.
Bumper cars. Oops.
I was going to say soccer 101 again.
Right.
Clear as day. Meanwhile,
you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
I don't know about
You
that.
ever heard that one?
Another change upcoming. Looks like Arun Basulovic is going to join us here. And I think that is the end of the night for Kai Green for the Union. Another change brought to you by Prep Club Society. Always a good shift, seemingly, from Kai Green, night in and night out. Gets a big hug from Frank Yallop and his coaching staff on the way out. Meanwhile, from the free kick, Ayose puts that on a plate, and it's saved! Siaha! Hands on heads from some of the Monterey Bay players as to how he's done that. Ayose puts it on a platter for Vasquez, who can't find the net. Tremendous save.
6'6" and confidence. That's how he does it. You don't catch it super clean, but look at the leg. I mean, this has surgery written all over it. Just watch the right leg plant in the ground right there.
Oof.
Look at him plant this thing deep down into that turf to come back across and get his leg out to keep the clean sheet.
It's been tremendous plays on all ends of the pitch, all 3 phases for Monterey Bay tonight. That looked like a sure goal after the lovely free kick from Ayose. Not to be in the end. Anthony Siaha with a tremendous stop. Nice play there from Solomon Asante. Ayose now getting involved. Tejada. He was waiting for Asante, who didn't continue his run, and the pass is picked off by Fair. McQueen all over Dawkins. Free kick. You were just talking about the Western Conference hierarchy. Where do you see that in the East? How do you apply it there, Devin?
Indy 11's not going to like what I have to say, of course, but they're top heavy first off. But you know, I talked to a lot of guys about this. The teams that are involved in the playoff race are the exact teams we thought they were going to be in week 1. Now, what order was that going to be? I'd be lying if I told you 901 FC would be sitting in second place. Certainly thought that the Rowdies and Louisville would be in that 1-2, 1-2-3 area for sure. Of course, you can't downplay what the Legion and Pittsburgh Riverhounds have done. My question was going to be, really, what did the rest of it look like?
Valesky from Rebelar. It was another beautiful back heel as Valesky was searching for another. It's out for a goal kick.
5-8. That was my question mark. So, you know, I probably would have seen it. It's still possible that Pittsburgh was going to push themselves out. as Monterey Bay continue to have fun into a top 4 spot. But I envisioned Indy being somewhere around that 5-6 mark. Still think that they have the talent to do so. Obviously a long way to go within that. Tulsa, again, they're 13 points back. They've got 4 games to play. It seems that that's going to be the end, right? The problem is head-to-head in the actual games that are going on, excuse me. But I see the top 4 remaining very similar. If anything, you might see a slip up by Birmingham down the stretch or Pittsburgh, but they're sitting right on the 4-5 anyway. So no one in the East wants to go to Pittsburgh. No one wants to go to Louisville. And historically, no one wanted to go to the Rowdies. Now, the interesting thing about the Rowdies is the Rowdies, for the past 4 seasons, when they had scored first, they'd won the game, or at least come away with a point. 2 out of the last 4 games, that's not the case now. It's the second time this season that they've scored first and now drop points. So if I had to pick favorites, because I picked 3 in the West, right? I will take Louisville. I would take, I'm not ever, I did it once, swore I'd never do it again. I'm not betting against Neil Collins and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Yeah. It's real simple. Those 2 teams are real easy. And I'll be clear, if I had to pick one team, I'd probably still pick Memphis, just because they grind. You know, the bigger concern you're going to have for them is they're not very deep. But we're at the point in the season, Sean, that if you can stay positive, if you can find a way to remain relevant right there at the top of the East, I mean, you could be the 2, that's great, but even if you're 2 or 3, stay healthy, hit the postseason, anything can happen. You know, the argument from all coaches used to be, who can win 4 games in a row? If you're the #1 seed, you don't even have to do that anymore, right? Because you bypass the quote-unquote quarterfinals. You got 6 teams playing in the quarter in the first round.
That's given away to Walmer Martinez, the substitute. Great run from Simon Dawkins. Good save at the near post by Trilk. Simon Dawkins has only scored once this season. Nearly scored his second, but Trilk denies him. There's some great transitional play again from Monterey Bay.
How is there this much space available? And why, oh why, is Sam Brown the one that's dropping back over here to help out? It's got to be a quicker recognition on the back line by Jerome and Vasquez to slide over, especially as high as Alexander McQueen's been playing here in the second half. If you're going to push him into that position, you got to have coverage in behind.
Chris Cortez takes the place of the goal scorer, Christian Valesky. Prep Club Society substitution. Another good hand for Valesky, who scored that tremendous 5th goal. Monterey Bay. Rebellar to Dawkins. Everyone wants in on the action. Oh, my word, Martinez tried to take the roof off the place with an overhead kick or a scissor kick. A spinning shot, Rebellar. And a foul and a free kick goes the other way as Basulovic was also lurking. Everyone wants their name on the score sheet. Goodness, if Walmer Martinez had done that, I'm not sure where we go from there. Martinez scored a screaming goal against Vegas here on Cardinale Stadium's opening night in a 1-0 victory. Part of that group that's getting healthy for Frank Yallop and providing that depth that they hope can continue to surge into the postseason. Talked about this at halftime. Monterey Bay would get up closer to the playoff line if it holds. Rebellar heading it in behind. Trilk is there. Of course, the other results that teams are looking at in the West around the league. San Diego now lead 2-0 against Phoenix as the Loyal get closer to clinching a playoff spot. Oakland have taken the lead against Red Bulls too. That's a big goal for Noah Delgado's group. Couldn't afford really to drop points, especially to New York Red Bulls too, with all due respect to them, where they sit currently in the East. Still 9 minutes left in Oakland. McQueen lifting it in. Tejada! Did that cross the line? Siaha started further back than normal there. In the end, it is a save for the Monterey Bay goalkeeper.
It looked pretty close to me too, but he's got a good argument. And he loses momentum to spring forward, so it's much like a catcher framing a pitch by a pitcher coming across the plate.
Indy come again. Tejada for Ayoze. It's tough to tell, especially from that second angle, if it had crossed the line. McQueen. Ayoze. It's Indy 11 trying to get a consolation here. Another beautiful ball into the penalty area, but it's headed down for Walmer Martinez to chase and clear and win a free kick. It's a moment where Robbie Dambro probably had his heart in his mouth there. He's on a yellow card. It's just a free kick.
You could have easily grabbed a second here.
Very easily, looking at that replay.
That's the ref being kind, and if you're Mark Lowry, you're paying attention to that. But go back for a second. Slow it down. Much better by Indy 11. Taking off the knee. How's the bounce? That's just in front. No, it's really close.
Tight.
You can't tell.
Yeah.
You just can't tell. And he's such, the frame that he carries, all 6'6", that's almost impossible from that angle. It is impossible to say officially that it was across the line.
And it's got to go all the way over the line as well. That's the other part of it. No part of the ball can be touching the goal line in that situation. I think in the end you give the assistant the benefit of the doubt there. Free kick for the Union here. Basulovic gets it touched into play. Robinson. Headed away by Jerome. Indy get it cleared through Solomon Asante, who does well to keep his balance. Rebelar was tugging away at him. Rebeon deflected into the midfield, and again Monterey Bay come forward. Basulovic to Walmer Martinez. Cortez in the middle. Basulovic blocked twice on the way through, and before Rebelar could get to it, Brown collects with 5 minutes of the 90 remaining plus some stoppage time. Cortez wins it back, trying to cheekily thread it through. Indy doing everything they can just to try to get out of trouble here, but Monterey Bay keep on coming. Well, this has really turned into a statement performance from Monterey Bay this evening, and a warning sign to the rest of the league of what they're capable of. This was an Indy team that, again, at home, albeit, but had knocked off San Antonio, Lou City, Birmingham. They went to Detroit, got a point. They come to Seaside, and the Union have been dominant.
That Phoenix San Diego game's 3-0. Dear Lord, I mean, they have signed their death warrant in the Western Conference. How's this one for you? By the end of the day tomorrow, pending the result of the Orange County-Sacramento game, Phoenix Rising could be last in the Western Conference. If I'd have given you $1 million at the beginning of the season, there's no way that you ever would have said, I'm not taking that bet. All day and twice on Sunday.
Quite remarkable. It's a Phoenix team that's 2 years removed from being in the final. That was, of course, never played against Tampa Bay, the COVID season, shortened season. think that they'd be last place at any part during the season. 2 years later, quite astonishing. Indy come again. They haven't stopped playing Indy 11. They keep fighting for a goal in this game. Solomon Asante nearly gives it to them. It curled towards the end. Former MVP with Phoenix curls it wide of that near post.
Well, you mentioned it. They're still playing, right? And the little cutback across. Asante, he's still calibrating. And unfortunately for Mark Lauer in Indy 11, that's sort of been what it's looked like the entire season, coming in hoping that maybe he would be the massive shift that this team needed. Has not been the case. I understand that we're getting down to it, but there's no way we're going to see 5 goals in the final couple of minutes here. Why don't we flip the script a little bit? You asked me, how do you feel? What do you like in the West? What do you like in the East? Start with the West. I gave you my 3.
I like this. I like this.
Yeah.
I have to say right off the bat, I know that they haven't been in good form, at least of late. They drew tonight. But I think San Antonio deserves a spot in that
I agree with you.
3 conversation, like you mentioned earlier.
They're also very different than a lot of other systems.
Yeah.
So they're hard to play against.
No question. And then that second team, I know that they've really been struggling of late. And this last month will say a lot. But I think San Diego, I think they certainly are capable of being a team that's there towards the end of the season under Landon Donovan. I think tonight would be a result that you think they can maybe go on and get back to where we saw them. But I gotta tell you, I think Monterey Bay tonight, I know we're doing the game and we've been thoroughly impressed, but this has been happening for a couple of months. And I think Frank Yallop's group have to be in that conversation. And if they keep playing like this, they're gonna be in a few rounds of this knockout round tournament.
So you're subbing out Sack for San Diego is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get that. My thing about San Diego is they're streaky, and that's not a bad thing. They're very, very streaky. They can be, I said this a couple of weeks back on USL All Access on SiriusXM FC, that they are a team who can be the best in the league. They can also be a non-playoff team sometimes when I watch them. But I do expect them to continue to get better and do big things. You know, as the season has gone on, I've seen some really good results from them, but I've also seen some stuff where I just kind of looked around and went, really, like, there was that stretch where they had been unbeaten for a while. I think it was 9 games or something like that, or 1 loss in 10.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was, you lost at Birmingham. And they only lost 1-0, but they got smoked. Oakland put a whooping on you. You lost 3-1. Monterey Bay repaid the favor. San Antonio. So you're getting into September. It's 3 out of 4, and you're looking around going, well, this is not what we're looking for out of the second place team. That concerns me.
Yeah.
And normally, the teams that sit 1, 2, 3 as we finish the year, they don't look like that. So I agree with you. Yes, we're going to see a lot more out of them, but like, you should beat Phoenix. You should beat Vegas and Orange County. Can you beat New Mexico, and can you beat Sacramento Republic? That last game of the year, to me, is the most telling result of what could be for San Diego, as opposed to knowing what is for Monterey Bay. This is a statement and a half by Frank Yallop and all the players that were on the field tonight. An absolute decimation of the Eastern Conference foe that has to be considered forgotten, at least for this year in Indy 11. 5-0, and one to look back on a historic year for Monterey Bay that continues on in their inaugural season in the USL Championship.
It's got to be one of their famous nights here in Seaside, California. 5-0 is the final, and it confirms Indy 11's elimination from the playoff hunt. And these fans will say that they were there at Cardinale Stadium when they dominated Indy 11. One of their best performances as a club. Frank Yallop's group make a big statement in the Western Conference playoff push tonight, and they win it by 5-0. We'll take a break, and we will wrap up this scintillating performance from the Union coming up next. Sean St. Jacques, Devin Kerr back here with you. What a night for Frank Yallop and the Union, smashing Indy 11 by 5-0. Indy 11 confirmed out of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Mathematically now it is official. Monterey Bay take a big step forward in what continues to be the wild, wild Western Conference playoff race. And especially with the way the results are currently going, with San Diego leading 3-0, Oakland leading 1-0, it's crucial that they got all 3 points tonight. Full-time highlights, and it's one good goal after another. Sam Gleadle getting it started. Valesky across the face of goal. Boone scoring the first goal for Monterey Bay, and it was his team-leading 7th goal of the season. Monterey Bay weren't done yet. Latter stages of the first half, Simon Dawkins to Sam Gleadle, who was involved in so many different moments tonight. It goes down as a Dambrot own goal in the end. Boone tried to claim it, but in the end it was still 2-0 Monterey Bay, and then it just got ridiculous from there. Good pressure from Boone on this play, early stages of the second half. James Murphy hadn't scored all season. That's his first, and it was a gem to give Monterey Bay a lead of 3-0. Frank Yallop loving every minute of it. 2 minutes, 2 goals. A minute later, Dawkins wins it back. Valesky in the midfield. Gleadle gets it back from Dawkins. It's just hard to keep track of, but everyone getting involved for Monterey Bay to make it 4-0, and Indy knowing nowhere to look at this point in the evening. 66th minute, Christian Valesky would cap it off with a tremendous 5th goal. Grant Robinson took out the putter to set it up. Gleadle for Valesky. 5-star performance from Monterey Bay tonight against Indy 11. This is what it means in the standings. Monterey Bay jump up from 11th to 9th in the table. Oakland, that result against New York Red Bulls 2 just went final. Keeps them just ahead for now, but Monterey Bay have those games in hand, which could really prove pivotal, especially if they keep playing like this down the stretch of the regular season. And Phoenix losing tonight against San Diego by 3-0. That has not gone final, but it could mean that Phoenix could drop to last place if Orange County can win tomorrow against Sac Republic, and it really means that we could start getting some X's next to some of those names in the Western Conference. But tonight on Seaside, Monterey Bay with their best performance maybe this whole season in their inaugural campaign in the USL Championship, putting 5 past Indy and sending a big statement throughout the rest of the USL Championship. For Devin Kerr and our entire crew, I'm Sean St. Jacques. So long from Seaside. Monterey Bay mash Indy by 5-0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.